I'm Rob Stuckey. Most people call me Stuckey. I'm a steam fitter by trade. I've been in the trenches, the hot days, the long nights, the feelings of just not knowing what you were even doing it for at times. This podcast that I'm hosting here is to highlight people just like me and you. People that came up through the grind, the grit, wanting to quit, asking themselves sometimes, what are they doing this for? These are actual real people who have been through it, who have felt that way, but have also bounced back. And they're in positions now that they never thought they could ever be in. This next guest I'm bringing on, his name is Travis. Great guy. The thing about Travis is he likes to have fun. So much fun, it caused a lot of problems. But he's a professional. He's a real deal. He's done it all. What's interesting about Travis, he's never even given up. I can't say that. I've wanted to give up many times, but Travis never crossed his mind. I look forward to allowing you to hear his story. Thank you. So thanks for coming today, Travis.
Yes.
We got Travis Fuksa here. Been in the trade, I don't know.
23, 24 years.
24 years.
Yeah.
So between dispatching, boiler tech, chiller tech, what was your path? Welder, fitter?
So starting off, apprenticeship. My older brother was in the trade. I was in high school. Seen him coming back, family stuff with money.
With money, huh? You saw money?
Yeah.
What did that money look like coming from high school?
It looked awesome, right? Yeah. That's what drove me to try to get in. That and just the whole school thing. School really wasn't my...
Did you struggle in school?
No, just didn't enjoy it.
Why?
I just didn't like it.
Grade? What kind of grades?
Average.
Yeah. Play you sports?
Yeah.
What'd you play?
Football.
What position?
I was actually lineman, linebacker. We were small, so I played on every side, pretty much.
Any
4 quarters of just being on the field, man.
Any hopes of the NFL, college?
No.
So
I didn't enjoy it that much.
So seeing your brother,
yeah,
money,
right?
But at that, you didn't know the trade. You didn't know. Did you know exactly what his day looked like?
My dad built houses, so I grew up working, building houses, roofing houses.
That sucks.
The whole 9 yards. Yeah.
In the summertime, that sucks.
Yeah, especially when you're like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. And,
you started that early.
Yeah.
Wow.
Helping.
No cartoons on Saturdays.
No cartoons on Saturdays, but it was work. Yeah. No, it was so he had his normal job, of course. I grew up in the 80s, so it was not too long after the housing market bust happened. So
market fell through.
Yeah, so Dad went in the oil field and he built houses. He had his own company building houses for a long time in the 70s and early 80s. So after that, people found out he knew how to do it. They'd always call him. Had a little project, we'd go help him.
Nice.
That's where I learned not to make a mistake.
He was hard on you.
Oh yeah.
Sense of perfection.
Oh yeah. Well, you just didn't waste stuff, right? Like if you cut a board wrong, that was a waste of money. You didn't do that. So
what would he do when you?
He'd throw it back at you.
Physically.
Yeah. So I seen that growing up, and I knew I wasn't going to college. Like, that's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I work with my hands. That's what I've always done. Growing up with Dad, I've worked with my hands. That was my plan. So, so I got an apprenticeship, did the 5 years. I actually started traveling as a 4th-year apprentice. That's when I went to Maryland. Went up there and with Scott and fit for him while he welded. And
it's crazy how small this industry is. Like, I get reminded all the time, like, dude, you were in my backyard.
Right.
You were in my backyard. In fact,
Absolutely.
when I was in school, hearing, like, a lot of guys were apprentices on Micron.
Mm-hmm.
And no offense, but I was kind of like listening to some of them because they talked about what they did. They're clean all day.
Oh, yeah.
Clean all day. I'm coming, I got boiler
carrying
soot. Carrying
this tube around.
Passing tools. I'm coming in, I got,
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Looking at him, they're all crispy clean. I'm like, wow. But anyway, I had to do it for a cert, and I was blown away because I was stick welder.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of 60-10, 70-18, but pushing them buttons but it's a very important job, man.
Right.
Very important.
So I started stick welding, right? So through apprenticeship, you got 2 years of it. So, I actually started before that. I got hooked up with a pretty good set of journeymen. You know how it goes, right? You get on your first job is complete. Everybody gets laid off, usually, sometimes not, sometimes yes. Um, you go to the hall, you hire back out. You're usually with that same crew,
Yeah, you build it like a
right?
network, right?
Well, I mean, everybody leaves the job, then comes back to the next job. So it's like a crew that you're in almost. And I just got dumped in a really good crew, like really old school guys, hardcore, you know, just you didn't mess up.
How long was it?
Like working with my dad, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just like working with my
yeah.
dad.
Well,
So
that's yeah, yeah.
I got to I got to apprentice for a guy that's a really, really, really good welder, and he taught me everything
Is he
about
still
stick
alive?
welding. He is. He's retired. Yeah, he had to retire early. He ended up there was a incident on a job that retired him early. But yeah, he's. I still wouldn't challenge him to a weld off. I promise you, because he was
What
really
was the
really
longest
good.
layoff time frame
For
for you?
me,
Yeah,
hardly ever.
like a week, 2 weeks,
Not
month.
even just a few days usually.
So you got a little chance to catch your breath, do some
Yeah.
laundry,
Yeah.
and get ready to get back on the road. Some of these mechanics that you've worked for in the past, it sounds like you've had some people along your way to
Oh yeah.
help you out. And
Absolutely.
it's like I was going to ask you, how you got here. Did you get here alone?
No,
Is
absolutely
there?
not. So that's the thing, right? So working with my dad, working with those older guys, they're very particular. They want what they want. They don't want anything different, right? And they had, we'll say, knuckleheads, because they've had the knuckleheads.
What's a knucklehead, man?
Just a guy that just don't show interest, a guy that doesn't want to go further, a guy that he's just there for a paycheck, right? So I was there for different reasons. This was going to be my career. I figured that out in high school. This is it, right? I'm gonna make this work no matter what. So I took it serious. I took it real serious. Um, and if those guys told me to do something standing on my head, that's just what you did. And you earned their respect by doing what they asked you to do. Then they started teaching you the really good stuff.
Once they saw you were committed,
That's it. Yeah.
yeah, then they were like, all right, this guy he's
Yeah.
listening to what I'm saying.
That's it.
He's
A
paying
lot of
attention.
sweeping floors.
Oh my
You
god!
know what I
How
mean?
many trucks did you clean out?
Dude, cleaning trucks, cleaning job trailers out, like the whole 9 yards. That's just, I mean, you just had to get there. You had to get through the muck to get to the good stuff.
I had a mechanic that made me. He'd take coveralls. We would wear coveralls, and then at the end of the day, he'd take them off, and he'd make me go grab his boots and take them off.
Right.
And
I carried
I
every
struggled with
journeyman's
that, man.
tool bag
Yeah.
from first year all the way till I graduated, right? I still do it. Even today, in the position I'm in, if I'm with an older gentleman, he's not carrying his tools. It's not happening.
That's respect.
It's a respect thing, right?
That's great.
That's what got me where I am, is being respectful and going that extra mile.
Yeah. Did you have
Some of them ask for it, right? Some of them ask, like, hey, carry my tool. But a lot of them didn't. It's just something I did.
Tell me about because it sounds I'm listening to you, but look, I like to have fun, especially
Yeah.
at work.
Yeah.
You gotta have fun. You gotta.
You have to.
And I'm not
You
hearing
gotta break the monotony,
I'm not hearing
right?
anything. Yeah, I'm not hearing
Yeah.
anything fun yet. So I hear traveling, working with a bunch of old school guys, which
So
they don't
work
mess around.
for me is fun.
Yeah.
I get a lot of enjoyment out of work because at the end of the day, I built something, right? So that's where construction industry, and it doesn't matter what industry that you're in. I don't feel like, I think you get that instant gratification, of we worked 12 hours to build these pump spools, but at the end of the day, they're all bolted up. They look good,
It's a sense of
ready to go.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right.
You definitely get that. So, but in the summer months when you're welding in a boiler room,
Hot as shit.
hot as
120
shit,
degrees.
you got leather jackets
slag
on,
popping off in your ear.
yeah, sizzling all the way down.
I actually thought I was going to be deaf forever. I had 60-10 go off in my ear.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear for like 2 days.
Have you ever crunched them? The slag, it gets all the way through into your mouth.
I felt, come down my throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that happen before.
That's fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun stuff. But so you're hot, you're miserable, but you're with a crew that's just as hot, that's just as miserable. you know. But sometimes, yeah, fun stuff starts happening. Just got to be careful that it don't go too far, you know.
Give
I
me,
had an instance that went too
give me one.
far,
Give me
right?
one. Too far?
Yeah, it went too far. So it was the
Were you a
situation
mechanic
where
at this point or
I was
apprentice?
a welder. I was a mechanic.
So
Yeah,
you're a
yeah,
mechanic.
full on journeyman. We were working on a building that needed rental chillers,
Right.
and their chiller room and boiler room was all in the same place, of course. And all the lines are at the top of the roof, middle of summer, up there welding, 130, 40
What size
degrees.
pipe? 6? 4?
No, it was probably 20-inch.
Oh, you big boys.
Yeah, it was big stuff. Yeah. And we came down to get some water, and the apprentice thought he was going to be funny and splashed another journeyman in the face with water, told him he needed to calm down. And so we jacked his truck up, put it on blocks, and
What?
yeah.
You jacked
And,
his truck up?
Yeah, so everybody had work trucks, and we were careful. Like, we wouldn't, you know,
Hold on.
unsafe about it.
You got to pause, man.
Yeah.
You literally, like, you're not exaggerating.
No, we put it
Jacked
on
his-
blocks.
You jacked it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. It's not the only thing. we did.
Hold on. You're working.
We hit him hard.
Working hours.
We heard, no. We were on break.
You're on break.
Yeah, we were on break. Yeah, we were on break. So it wasn't really,
So
you know,
it didn't
company
cost, it didn't
time.
cost the company.
Yeah, it wasn't
It
company.
was your time.
Yeah, it was my time.
And you jack it up and put it on blocks.
Yeah, we put 6-inch pipe under the axle, so the tires were off the ground about that much.
Oh, so he couldn't,
Just enough
he
to
couldn't see
spin
it.
So he couldn't go home.
But he couldn't see. He couldn't tell at first.
Right. No. Well, so it didn't get that far. So we did that. Of course, we put some zip ties around the drive shaft.
Oh yes.
You know, and I see his door handle. You know, we did it all. Hit him with everything, all at once. Apparently, somebody told on us at the plant,
Oh, so you're working at it.
and it got back to headquarters, and I could no longer work for that company worldwide.
You've been
yeah.
blackballed.
Oh yeah, completely for
They have your.
Ever.
They have your face.
my mugshot
Outside
yeah.
that-
No, it's probably on the door when they walk in every day. You know,
Have you seen
one of
them?
those things. Yeah,
Reward.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
allowed back.
Yeah, not allowed back.
I've
so,
done a lot of pranks, but I've never
Yeah.
been kicked off the job.
Yeah, well, you know, I just think some people just don't have a humorous side, you know?
You gotta have some humor.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but
Holy shit.
so that's an example of the extreme, right? And it can happen. So after the fact, you know, the wave it caused, the gentleman that used to run the company, he got put through the ringer on that one. You know, it was because of me and my buddy, you know. So that sucks. You know, that's the downside. Like he really it was not good for that guy.
How'd you?
But it was good for me because I learned not to go overboard, right? I learned to pull the reins back.
So did he?
You still got to break the monotony, but you got to do it in a way that doesn't get out of hand.
So did he?
You know.
So I'm trying to get the whole vision right. Trucks on blocks, or on pipe, everything.
Yeah.
Are you back to working when you get notified? Like how?
Oh yeah.
Like,
no, we
so
already
you're back
started
working
welding.
up there.
Some suits walk up, pull the foreman aside. Foreman
There's some
comes
whispering
over.
going on at that point.
Yeah.
Did you already know?
Oh yeah, we were giggling.
You already knew.
Yeah, me and my buddy were standing there. He was fitting for me. I was welding, and we're like, "Well, this is going to be interesting, you know. Like this is going to be. We'll see what happens next." So,
Right.
Foreman walks up, which was actually my brother. But anyways, Foreman walks up. So Foreman walks up. He's like, "Hey guys, like, they're pissed, you know." I'm like, "Why?" And at the end of the day, I think
Did it boil down?
we
to
didn't
safety?
use a jack.
Was that what it was?
We used the forklift to pick the truck up.
Oh my!
So I think
gosh,
that's what-
it gets better.
Yeah, I think that's what had them upset. But it was much safer than the jack that comes with the vehicle. Everybody's tried to use those pieces of crap. You right? Like you've tried to use it. You're on the side of the highway and you're like, this thing's going to tip over.
Safety came
Right?
first.
Safety came first. We used the forklift. Right? That's the safest thing to pick a truck up with.
That has got to be
Junkyards do it all the time, so it's not like they say it's not made for it. Well, why do they do it? They didn't appreciate that comment, but I asked.
I mean, I've got some good stories,
Yeah.
but that's cream of
pretty
the
good.
crop.
Yeah.
That's cream of the crop.
Yeah, so it was pretty rough on everybody. Project manager, felt bad for her. She had a great crew, and we got 2 of them fired that day. So it really.
Did you own it right out the gate?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So you packed.
You have
up,
to.
dragged up.
You have to own it. I mean, you can't because there's Every place we work has cameras. It ain't like you're about. No, wasn't me. It wasn't me. The big bearded dude. That would have been the other big bearded dude.
You always had a beard?
For quite a while, yeah. Goatee at least.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you're not getting away from
that shit.
Nah, it happens.
You had the smoking gun.
It happens. That's it. So. But yeah, he was asking who did it, and both of us instantly were like, "We did it," you know.
That's a pretty big screw up. So, like,
yeah,
that's a prank screw up. That's a prank gone bad. That's
prank gone bad.
Blowing off some, some steam, laughing, which is a great time. You got to have a great time on the job.
That's it. That's just when it goes too far. That's what happens, right?
We
got to be careful.
We should look at that. I bet you there's a lot of people that have taken pranks too far.
Oh, absolutely.
So, mechanics get splashed in the face.
Yeah.
Why?
So,
I mean, just the whole bottle.
So we came. So we came down, and of course you got ice water, right?
Yeah.
So he was an apprentice.
First year, second year.
Probably second.
Oh, he was,
maybe first.
He was,
so he was. He was catching. He was catching
hell.
He was catching some hell. So when we came down, of course, my buddy was giving him a hard time, and he hit him with that cold water. Well, that's what initiated the. We're all hot. We're all aggravated, and you get ice cold water, just a whole bottle. I'm talking cap off, right? Ice water, So that initiated payback, right? In a way that you're not going to forget it. Almost,
and it wasn't even you though that got the water.
No, but I had to help. Like,
so it's a band of brothers. Like,
if you got a guy that's got to run a forklift, pick a truck up, so you got to have help. You can't do that alone. It's just not easy. But
you can't do that.
So there was that moment of we're all miserable. We've already had enough, and that kind of pushed it over, right?
Speaking of water,
yeah, it kind of pushed it over the edge. You get hot, you get aggravated, stuff ain't going right. We just came down from the building supposed to be drained, popped a hole in it. Of course, it's full pressure, so we got water blasting everywhere. All we had was a 2x4, so we just started driving that in the hole, to just stop the water, because you got chillers, everything down below you, So it's just one of those things, and then it's just chain reaction. So it wasn't so much anger towards the person that splashed him with water. It was more of a you're gonna get your payback, and that's what sent it to the level that it got to. But it could be anger, and if you're not thinking, it could have went one of two ways. Could have went the way it went. It could have been, I guess it could have been three ways.
Yeah.
It could have been the way it went. It could have been anger, and all hell would have broke loose, right? It happens on jobs.
Yeah.
Physical, super
fighting,
physical, really fast, right?
Yeah.
Because 130 degrees, your body temperature is 140, 50, whatever, and you get ice cold water. That's enough to really upset somebody. Or it could have gotten just brushed off completely. Well, we chose the payback method. So, and that's where it ended up. It still ended up being negative because we went too far. But I think sometimes you need something to break that situation up. I don't even know what to call it.
It's
it's one of those situations that everybody that's been in it,
you got to let a little pressure out.
That's it.
Just crack a little bit.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Whether it be, I wouldn't say the water in the face, but whether it's a joke or a prank or a, just have a little bit
something.
Fun. Just a little fun, man.
Something to break it up. Yeah. And it had already been. So that was one of the questions we got asked. So we got 2 weeks off while they decided what they were going to do. When we came back for the meeting, of course, we'd already called the hall. Found jobs because we knew that was coming, right? So that was one of the questions they asked. What made you feel okay to do something like this at our plant?
Wow.
Well, what they didn't know is all of their maintenance guys were constantly jacking with our vehicles. NICs in the handles of the doors on the everything, right?
So it was already in motion.
So it was already in motion. It's just ours was. I mean, we threw the whole 9 yards at it, right?
Yeah.
We wasn't going to get beat.
I tell you, I was on a job for Kiewit, big construction company. You heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Capitol, and it just allowed me to reflect. And hot, sweaty, burning rod all day.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this safety person. and they would always make their rounds and come around and just like always find something. You're up there. Oh,
Right.
my grinder didn't have a guard on it or whatever.
Right.
And so one morning I got, we always got there early. I took Blue Block and I went over to the doorknob to the Kiewit office and I just hit it
Yeah.
where you couldn't see it.
Right.
And Blue Block, you look at it and it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's just like anti-static.
It's everywhere.
Yep.
And they're walking around and I knew it hit. My apprentice is looking at me. He goes, dude, they know. And I'm like, don't say shit.
Yeah.
Like you don't, we're good.
That's
right?
it. Nothing happened.
And they're just going around. You see them, they're over there and they're looking, trying to find out where it went. And I'll be honest, I didn't own it. I was scared. I mean, here I'm running this job with a bunch of, guys and
Right.
it was fun though.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we laughed. We had a great time. But yeah, I didn't
Well,
get a forklift though.
Well, that's the thing. So that's what a lot of their questions was. What would you have done if you had got in there and drove the truck into the building? Right. Well, we're parked 300 yards away. If you don't know where the brake pedal is, it's not my fault. You know what I mean? Like they were just asking those, and it was a safety thing. I get it, looking back on it, and I don't do those things. Right. Like I was very young. I was probably, oh man, I don't even think I was married yet. So 22-ish.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Just young, full of energy, like running like crazy.
Yeah.
You want me to work 36 hours? Cool. I'll work again tomorrow. That type of situation. And, man, the world's mine at that age, right?
Oh, you know it all.
Yeah.
You know it all. Nobody
Yeah.
can tell you different.
It don't matter. So yeah, it just went overboard. But it taught me a lot. It taught me how important it is to relieve some pressure, but it also taught me sometimes you gotta cut it back some.
Yeah.
You gotta
Toe
be
the line.
Yeah. I was loaned out to another company one time, and we were making some tie-in welds in a basement of a 20-story building, and none of the valves were holding. So we were constantly getting water out, right? Like
Yeah.
just it wouldn't
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, you
So
couldn't.
what do you do as a welder? You weld it.
Yeah,
You know?
you burn it.
Yeah. So you're soaking wet, you're getting electrocuted,
Shocked.
whole 9 yards, and we get it welded out, and everybody's happy. It's me and another guy.
It's a good feeling.
But then it leaks when there's pressure on it. It's a really bad feeling, right? Because the whole time it had water coming out of it, but you finally got it to stop, but you really didn't. So you got to drain the building again. It ended up spraying on a VFD, popped a VFD,
Oh, man.
So it's a bad situation. And when you're a welder, and
Costing a lot.
I
of
wasn't
money.
super old, but yeah, I was costing money. It's like, daggum,
Yeah.
But when you've got water pouring out, stuff happens, right? Like,
Yeah.
but so what we do, we grabbed the gear, we got the grinders out. We grind down through it, found the problem, fixed it as soon as possible. And what can we do about the VFD? Nothing but apologize, At the time, the owner of the company that I was loaned out to was on site. So he got to witness the whole thing. So there wasn't no backing out anyways, but,
So that's a great story, battling back when you're in the field,
right.
right? But you're in a role now,
Mm-hmm.
and which is, what are you now?
Operations manager.
You're an operations manager.
Yeah.
So you went from fixing welds, fixing leaks, to working on equipment, doing swap outs, all the above. So
Right.
you can actually see the finished product at the end of the day, end of the week,
Mhm.
month, whatever. But now you're working on the most complex piece of equipment. That's what I love saying that with people.
Right.
And things that are out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
And I know enough about you to know you wanted to bang your head against the wall.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
But
So-
I don't want to quit.
But I'm not saying tap out.
Right? Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying
think-
tap out, but hear me out. Hold on. Hear me
Yeah,
out.
go
Hear
ahead.
me out. Hear me out.
I-
You have a reflection moment, because when you're in the
Mhm.
field, at the end of the day, come 2:00 or whenever your finish time is, put your tools up, put them in the truck, and you're on your way home. Everything's left at the job site. But now that you're in this position, there's no cutoff time anymore.
No, it's all.
So now you're carrying this around. You're sitting there, you're looking at your kids, you're looking at your wife, you're thinking about some of the situations you're in at work.
Right.
It's just reality. We have
Mhm.
it all the time,
All the time.
especially with your kids at the age they are. Watch them softball. You got a lot of things going on. You road tripped up here. You brought the family on spring. Hey, thank you, by the way, for
Absolutely.
bringing that family. I think that's great.
Absolutely.
Um,
We're all excited. So
that's good.
it's going to be
Good.
good.
But there's got to be that time where you actually have that reflection moment where it's like, what am I doing? How did I get to this point here?
So
When you were
it's
17 in high
different
school,
for me,
okay.
right? Like it's not, I don't ever think, what am I doing? Right? It's like, what can I do better? That's the way I look at it. Everything in life for me has always been a challenge. Nothing's ever come easy. So it's just another challenge. It's just there's another avenue that I'm not seeing that I've got to see
So where
to make it
where
better.
are you going for that support? When you get in those things,
That ride home.
huh?
That ride home. Just thinking about what today ended with that I don't want it to end with tomorrow. And how do you change that?
So you're bouncing back with reflection.
Yeah, I guess so.
So you've never bailed on yourself.
No, I would always bet on myself. Always. No matter what it was. Even if I didn't know, first time I went on an orbital welding job, right? I hadn't touched an orbital welder. I went to the school for 5 hours with a guy that knows how to do it. My brother met me down there, showed me how to do it, went and took a welding test, left it all on black, right? So I've always bet on myself.
Explain left it on black.
So just, I mean, through caution to the wind, right? Like I literally was married. I bought a trailer, a travel trailer, and everything to go travel into a position that I didn't know nothing about, but I knew I would not give up, right? I knew that I would just carry through and find a way to get, doesn't matter what the job is, you can find a way to do it. You know, you've got plenty of help around you. My older brother, he's always had my back, you know, as far as if I needed tweaking or knowledge or something like that, I could always call on him. He's never give up on me. I've never give up on him. You know, it's one of those things that those relationships don't happen very often. You know, he and I work together. That's very uncommon. But the reason it works is because I worked with my dad for years. When I work with my dad, he's not my dad. When I work with my brother, he's not my brother.
That's great.
He is the boss. What he says goes, you know. And I think when you build those relationships like that, those serious, really good, deep relationships, that's when you start gaining knowledge.
What's the message to those 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, those apprentices, those helpers, those younger,
Right.
Look, I know there's things,
So
the younger version of Travis.
yeah, so the younger version of Trav,
What would you tell that person? What would you tell him?
or a newer apprentice, right? What I would say is, for one, don't give up on yourself, right? Find the people that are going to help you and do everything you can to get a really solid relationship with them. Like I'm talking deep. Like if they called you on a Sunday at 4 in the afternoon and said, "Man, I'm broke down," you would jump in the truck to go help them. That's the type of relationship I'm talking about. If you start building those relationships with those guys, you are going to learn this trade. You're going to succeed in this trade, and you're not going to have an option but to succeed because they're going to be there for you just as much as you are for them. You know, as you know, I mean, me and you've known each other for what, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
Could you call me and me drop everything and come running?
Yeah, and I'm closer to you now.
Right?
I'm
it.
in Dallas now,
That's
so
it.
maybe I'll pull that
So
card.
that's
But
the
you're right.
thing.
You're right.
You got to build those relationships.
You're only as good as your team.
That's it. Surround yourself with people that are better than you.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
if you're an apprentice and you're working with a group of people that just want to clown around, jackass around, you got to get out of that group. You don't want to be part of that group. Sorry. May not be common to say out loud, but you don't want to be in that group. You want to be in the group that's about the business and about doing the best job possible.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to take away from your apprenticeship. Best day for me now is
But you're
tech's not giving in and getting through
you're
the
hitting the
day.
field though. Remember, you're hitting guys that aren't where you're at now. You're hitting guys that are in the trenches that you just talked about, that are going, oh shit, I resonate
Yeah.
with that. So so when I was in the field, I go back to when I was in the field. The greatest feeling, and when you knew you closed out a great day, is when
Just
you were
almost,
under pressure, under the gun. You had to get a piece of equipment online.
yeah,
Shit goes south, and you're able to manage.
helping a
Yeah,
customer in
no,
need.
it's that
You know what I
phone
mean?
call.
Like
It's
a
like
rental.
it's almost like feeling like the A-Team, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you get the call. Hey, we need you here over in this building. Boom, boom,
Right.
boom. They're
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
We got equipment
We ain't got
arriving. We
heat.
need you to
It's negative
prep.
-5 degrees outside.
Yeah,
What are we gonna do? We're all gonna freeze to death, right?
yeah,
And you show up like Superman and swoop in and
yeah. Being in the field, being the welder, you know, getting leaks stopped, all those things.
right.
It's a great feeling. You know, you the customer's
How we
happy.
set it up
Everything's
with a
satisfied.
question though.
Well, it's just one of the greatest. What does that great feeling feel like, and what got you there? And you know, another story that
I mean, I've got a
resonates.
good story about that. We just did it just the other day. I mean, I was in the field actually, but we installed 3 rentals in one night. It
Wow.
was like -2 degree temps in Tulsa. Yeah.
Right, and the same team did it.
Yeah. Well, so I had 3 different teams, but
But that's the
everybody
thing,
worked
like, it's
together. Like it was 3 separate locations, but everybody worked together
but it's take it like a go
and
back
got it.
into like the crew. You're with a 2-man crew, a 3-man
Yeah.
crew. You success,
Yeah.
the feeling going home. You know, when you're driving home and you're just reflecting on what you just
Yeah. But you're like,
got
dude,
it done. We
freaking got it done. Yeah.
the 14-hour shutdown.
2 of them were apartment complexes, so it was like a serious like we got to get heat back
Yeah.
on. So when you get the heat back on, it's like we are the best.
So
You know?
so success in the field, man. Like what's that feel like when you just brought up something, being in the trenches
Right,
with your team,
Uh-huh.
4-man crew, 2-man crew.
right,
You've been given a tall order,
right.
and you're
So
like, let's go to work.
actually, so I've got a good story for it. I mean, I'm just going to tell the story because I think it resonates with every like good day. You know, at the end of a good day, the fulfillment. You know, like we talked about with the pumps, building the pump stack, you get done, you got that fulfillment. One that for me, we had some customers that called in. You know, their boilers went out. It was winter time, sub-zero temps. You know, 2 locations were apartment complexes, so this was going to affect people in a negative way, right? Like if you don't have heat and it's negative temps, you're going to feel that impact, right?
Yeah.
As a customer or as a tenant or whatever,
Kids,
right?
family,
Yeah.
elderly, right?
So they call on us, of course, it's late in the day. You're fixing to go home yourself. You've
You're
been
winding
out
down.
in that negative temp all day long, working on other things, right? This is the last thing you want to happen, right? And it was on a Friday. So no doubt,
it's
it's
always
on as a Friday. So get the call. Of course, we take the job. Um, it's a 2-3 man kind of situation. We've got 2. It's go install a rental boiler, get them back online, get their heat back on, whatever. So, of course, you get the crew rounded up, you get the parts rounded up because somebody's already been there, found out what's needed, get headed that way. You get all the way to the job. You're busting tail, just trying to get stuff done, working as a team. Somebody may be working on the flue, somebody may be working on the gas pipe, and then bring it all together at the end. When you build a good team, that's what can happen, right? Like somebody can be working on something different to get done quicker, right?
Accomplishing the goal.
Again, you're in the trenches together. It's sucking just as much for you. You were my guy that night, let's say, right? Like you're over there busting out the gas line. I'm working on the flue, the water piping. We actually had to unhook the chiller because if not, we'd had to drain the whole building that was tied to the boiler because they didn't have shut-off valves, But then they had a control valve that was winter, summer. It wouldn't work because it was on the chiller. So we had to, take it apart, lock it in the open position, the whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, when we thought it was going to be something that took probably 12 to 14 hours, we were done in 8. Boiler was running. Customer was ecstatic, right? Like then we're driving home like, that was horrible, but we did it. Now these people have heat, like it's just a huge prize of
Yeah.
of accomplishment
It's like a a symphony, man.
That's it.
Everybody's dancing, or I'm sorry, everybody's playing an instrument to a certain tune. At the end of the day, it's all for one thing.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. So that,
that's great.
that's the thing. It's a great feeling when you've done something like that. The customer was just he showed up, the boiler was running. He said, "I thought this was going to take you guys 2 weeks." I was in like sheer panic, right? And we were like, "This would never take us 2 weeks for a rental," like. But to hear him say something like that just goes to show how dire straits they were in, right? Like we saved the day. We were heroes that day,
Superman.
Yeah, those jobs that you don't turn out to be quite heroes, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when you turn out to be the hero, it's a great feeling.
Hey, look, man, I wanna thank you. Look, spring break. We're not going to Wally World.
No,
We're going.
not Wally World.
We're going to Boulder,
We're going to
Colorado.
Boulder, which is great because Oklahoma don't get much snow, right?
Yeah,
Not near as much as up here. So
absolutely. But thank you for taking the time
Absolutely.
to come up here, speak about your journey, what it takes, what it's like when you're in the field,
Right.
all those things. And let's just make sure that everybody understands: you don't get a forklift, and you don't jack trucks up.
You don't do that. That ends poorly for you and a lot of other
Right.
people. Yeah. But it teaches you good lessons, but don't learn them that way. There's easier ways to learn them, right? Yeah. No, it's tough. It's a tough industry, man. It takes a lot of grit. You cannot give up. You can't quit. Doesn't matter how bad of a situation it is. We've all been there. Everybody you're working with's been there at some point or another. The cool thing about it for me too is just one important takeaway I think that I haven't mentioned is when you are in the ditches, you're not alone. You're with somebody that's struggling and hating it just as bad as you. But by the end of the day, it's like, man,
What
we
was
did that.
What was that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did it. It's over. And everybody's happy,
yeah.
So
Things that you weren't up,
it
the
pays
things that
off.
upset you yesterday won't upset you
That's
today.
it.
Yeah.
It pays dividends, man, to your morale.
Well, thank you, man.
You know.
Again, thanks a lot.
Always, man.
Appreciate it, buddy.